So I wanted you guys to know that I tried Skin Vive. It's a new thing that they inject and it makes you look younger before and after. I wasn't that thrilled with it. I'm not going to recommend this one. I'm a pass on that one, so maybe go a different route. I wasn't happy with the results in the area I tried, so I'm going to try something else. But they can dissolve it if you've had it and you're not happy with it either. I found out, but yeah, not a good one. Keep working on that science. So I'm going to get right into the recap, and we're going to gossip as we go because some of the gossip I want to tell you is related to what happened in the show tonight, and it'll make more sense to you. So being that it's almost 12 o'clock, I thought I'd wake you guys up and let you know that Kim D and I are doing a live, I guess today, because it's Thursday already. And we will be doing that live at 11 a.m. EST, and that is 8 a.m. PST, and we will be doing all things gossip. It's in the live tab on my channel. And if you come at that time, you can interact with us and ask questions and all that. I've got Real Housewives of New Jersey gossip. I've got more Beverly Hills gossip, and I have a bunch of stuff. More than that even. I've got a list. So we'll go through it and you guys can join the fun. And it is a video show. It's not just audio. I know it gets confusing because I do so many shows. All right. So have you checked out the podcast tab? If you haven't, I do a whole bunch of topics that you don't even know that I know. So we open the episode with a bang. Crystal Minkoff throwing up on the side of the road. Then her blood pressure goes really high. They call an ambulance because she's like, I'm going to pass out. I'm really nauseous. I don't feel well. The ambulance takes her to the hospital. A producer goes with her. And we find out later that she's been treated for dehydration. She's been given medicine for high blood pressure. And that, she's got to rest and take it easy and not drink alcohol and stay hydrated. And they also gave her anti-nausea medicines. She was really feeling it. But in all this, we see a glimpse of Anne-Marie Wiley stepping in and really forgetting about their issues that they're going through on the show or off the show and just being a nurse. I think that's what she is. I'm still unsure. But anyway, she's so helpful to Crystal. Crystal, forgets all of the problems with Anne-Marie Wiley. She's, so grateful. Anne-Marie Wiley stepped up, was there for her, and really was like a medical professional. The women, of course, are like, oh my gosh, Crystal. Everybody does the right thing in that scene. Okay, so after Crystal goes to the hospital, the women go to a local Barcelona church. They light a candle for Crystal, and they also kind of pray a little. Dorit says, listen, I don't light candles because I'm Jewish. That strikes Garcelle because she didn't know that, and she wouldn't have known that would have been offensive to Dorit to do. And so Garcelle sort of has a moment of introspection about what she said to Dorit in the previous episode about her being a Karen and a racist. Meanwhile, Sutton starts to think of her dad and the fact that he killed himself, and that some religious organizations would say that he's in hell because of it, although she's Presbyterian and believes otherwise. This triggers Kyle Richards to cry a little about her friend Loraine, and she says that a psychic told her that Loraine is confused as to why she died, which is weird. And that was a strange hint of something, but I don't know what. And Sutton explains that she was told in a friend's dream that her dad said he was just tired. And she was like, he's free of his body, and she's comforting Kyle, but you can tell she's really feeling it. So all week, Crystal Minkoff on social media has been dragging Dorit Kemsley. So the fight shifted from Anne-Marie Wiley, although she was the catalyst, to Dorit Kemsley because Dorit called her a child bride in her confessional video. And I guess Crystal's just seeing it this week. So Crystal retaliated against Dorit in multiple posts. Here's some of them. First, it came in her announcement of seeing the show last week, because, of course, the women get a copy of the show a few days prior to it actually airing, and she had this sucker ready to go. It says, it's Crystal Minkoff saying, keys to a successful marriage: set aside quality time together, express love and appreciation, manage conflict constructively, buy, don't borrow diamond necklaces for your wife. So that's a dig at Dorit Kemsley and PK Kemsley. And that's Crystal's first dig to Dorit after the child bride confessional came out on the episode. Then this was a more secret dig. This fan said, don't acquire massive amounts of debt, like acknowledging it. And Crystal Minkoff wrote, number one, like maybe I should have made that number one to kind of, drag Dorit, right? And then Crystal went on to do follow-up posts, which I won't share with you, promoting her coconut water and calling out that it's a very successful business that she's selling through Costco, and essentially making fun of the fact that Dorit implied that she doesn't have any, business acumen and all that. Now, as I mentioned last week, I don't think that's what Dorit was trying to say. I think she was saying, look, you married Rob young. He was already a successful director worth millions and millions of dollars. So you came from an environment where you got a huge help by having a rich husband. And it's very easy to make money when you have it. And that is true. So this is the whole thing between Dorit and Crystal, and it's playing all off the show. So I thought I'd bring it to your attention. Meanwhile, Morgan Wade, a few days ago, wipes her account of all signs of Teddy Mellencamp and Kyle Richards and Kathy Hilton and, her music video with Kyle Richards where they're pretending to be lovers and all this stuff. And she goes back to this blank page, I think, marking the end of this co-promotion chapter between her and Kyle Richards. Now, that's not to say that her and Kyle Richards had a falling out. It's possible. But it's also possible that they just did what they wanted to do for their, businesses. So for Kyle, it was the documentary on Morgan Wade. And for Morgan Wade, it was promoting her music to the Bravo fan base and putting Kyle in a video. And now that both her and Kyle have sort of done what they needed to do, some of it worked, some of it backfired, this chapter is done. And right around the same time, Kyle Richards sports this jacket with Umansky, on the back of the jacket, sort of symbolizing that her and Mauricio Umansky may not be done yet. She does wear a lot of messages on her shirts, which definitely could be symbolic. She's worn Sublime and some others. Anyway, what does this mean? I think Mauricio and Kyle are still trying to make it work, but I also not sure it is working. Because she's snuggling up to Kathy Hilton quite a bit lately, and that would say to me, they're not out of the woods yet, but they're definitely still trying, I think. And the fact that she wore that jacket right around the same time Morgan Wade wiped her account could be a coincidence, or it could not be. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention because Kyle Richards wanted everybody to know that although Mauricio blew off her event for her friend Loraine that took her own life, that was a celebration of her life and an important event, Kyle had this ulterior thing she wanted the public to know after the fact, although it doesn't appear that she feels this way at the time of the show, and even in next week's show, it will definitely not appear that way. But here's what she said. I wanted to clarify this. I did many times then, but I guess I need to again. Mo offered to cancel his trip multiple times. Even though there were many people involved in this trip, I told him he did not need to do that. The date of the event was changed last minute and none of the other men were attending. I had a lot of support around me that night. It's not fair to put that on him. No, but Kyle, every week you're dragging him like he's not putting in the time in the relationship and all this stuff. And then you put this out here. I'm so confused. I think a lot of the fans are really struggling with the mixed messaging that you're doing. Just saying. Also, I just want to mention to you that you guys probably have heard this, but the CBD herbal chef got really upset and wrote an essay on his Instagram page about the fact that Denise Richards and Jeff Lewis were saying that somebody maybe drugged Denise Richards' food and water without her knowing. And you know, to that he was like, how could you say such a horrific thing about somebody who does what I do? And went on a whole tirade about doing this to the pot industry and hurting the reputation and blah, blah, blah. And then he says, like, the really killer juicy thing, which is that she was well effed up when she got there, and she's covering up some sort of emotional problem or something with her, whatever she's on. And he hints to it like twice in his text messages. And that's what happens. By the way, those are in the Patreon if you want to see them. They're also around the internet if you want to look for them. I like to hand them over easy. It's about 6 posts down in the Patreon. I almost forgot what the hell we were even talking about. Okay, so Sutton, by the way, is not speaking with Kyle post the reunion. There's also been word on the street that Sutton is going to pass out or get sick at the reunion and have to leave. She gets so upset. She might have to go to the hospital or something. And Garcelle Bouvet is going to leave the reunion to be with her. And simultaneously, Kathy Hilton for sure is going to make an appearance for Kyle Richards. But we don't know quite how she fits into all that. And some people wondered, is Kim Richards going to make an appearance? Which I'm assuming she would if Kathy is. I mean, why wouldn't she? To show their support to Kyle, because supposedly Andy's being motivated by Erika Jayne Girardi to eviscerate Kyle Richards. They showed off how smart Erika Jayne Girardi was in tonight's episode with just global events. And she says it comes from speaking to so many very intelligent people. But isn't this the girl who was like, I don't even know how to run a bank account back like 2 years ago? Now she's an idiot savant. What's happening here? I'll tell you what's happening. She's lying. She's a mastermind smarty pants. All right, so then we watch the women have lunch in Barcelona, and Garcelle says, listen, Dorit, I learned a lot by seeing you today. I guess not light your candle and set your intentions outside of the church, and that didn't go with your religion, and realize that, you know, you're not a Karen and you're not a racist, and I can really quickly get over this fight. And they hug and all this, and it's obvious to every viewer that they cut out a major scene between Garcelle and Dorit because something better happened. Then the women have no time to shop, so Sutton gives them 3 minutes, and we see the women run into different stores and try to buy cool Barcelona items quickly. And some of the things bought were 7 antique painted fans by Dorit that I don't think were that antique. So if she believed that, she overpaid. A bracelet that Garcelle bought, but she couldn't for some reason use her bank card, so Erika Jayne spotted her the cash, but she has to pay her back. A shawl, a velvet bathing suit, which was Kyle's choice, and several rings, one of which doesn't fit Kyle, but she wants anyway. And that was pretty much the shopping spree that we witnessed in Barcelona in under 3 minutes. Nice job, guys. Anyway, we get back to Crystal Minkoff, and she's back home from the hospital, and she's pretty scared. She's like, oh my gosh. She tells everybody that her parents had high blood pressure, and so it's been a real concern. She really felt her mortality on this trip and that she might not be there for her children. And she still, by the way, had high blood pressure when Garcelle Bouvet goes in to visit her to make sure she's okay. And so that really shakes Crystal even more, because it's not like she's just snapping right back, you know, to normal. She still has high blood pressure, and she's not drinking anymore on this trip. And it's at this moment I want to share some gossip that I found about Anne-Marie Wiley, and it's crowd gossip. Let me share it. Now, there's a weird theme in all of this, which is that Anne-Marie Wiley is a professional after all, even though she lied about her doctor credential to Crystal at a Christmas party or exaggerated her credential. And also publicly, as I mentioned last week, got into it with like the anesthesiast, doctor, nurse organizations. Anyway, a Reddit came out that I saw, and it said this. This is about Anne-Marie. I worked with her in ICU before she went to CRNA school. And she was awful then, only person I've ever written a negative peer evaluation for. She stayed on a personal phone call while I tried to get report from her on critically ill patients. She also wouldn't help out with repositioning patients, blaming her back, but she was very athletic and lifted weights. It's such a shame she's trying to represent nurse anesthetists. I don't know. Am I even saying that right? So there's some gossip for you. Crystal calls Rob up just to let him know how she's doing. She talks to Rob and he says to her, it's good that you're not drinking and you need to take care of yourself. And that's pretty much all Rob says. And I love you. Then we see Kyle trying to do a FaceTime with Mauricio and he's in the car. As usual, he's always in the car when Kyle FaceTimes him. And it's black and you can't see much. And he's like, I'm parking the car and doing stuff. And Kyle's like, okay, how are the kids? And then the phone kind of cuts out and that's it. Very sketch. And Dorit calls her son and her son's home alone with her mom because PK's in London again. Yep. In fact, I think PK lives in London. I'm pretty sure he's not living in Beverly Hills anymore at this point. So now it's time to do this dinner to honor Merce, which is also a paella cooking class with the hot chef, whose dad shows up and Garcelle decides, ooh, I have more in common with the father, so I think I'm going to go for him over the son. And then some really gross jokes kind of come out of Garcelle's mouth, which I'm not going to repeat here. They weren't funny, they were weird, but, you know, everybody's got their own sense of humor, I suppose. At dinner, we see Erica Jane Girardi very intoxicated. She's really trying to hold it together during dinner, but she's messy AF. And she's also very intelligent, so she kind of snaps into this logical mind that she doesn't usually have. And so she's communicating at the dinner sounding very intellectual. The women are really shocked, especially since she's so intoxicated. And they're like, what is this? Like some strange like button is pushed in Erica and she's like super bright and maybe not putting on an act is how I'd say it. So we also meet Trevor at this dinner. This is Sutton's really good friend since her early 20s, a time where she was empowered as a woman. Erica still can't help herself. She calls out that Sutton has carried her beloved Merce in a Ziploc bag. And what does that say about, I guess, how she feels about him? And the women sort of chime in. And Sutton reminds everybody that, look, it's normal to put ashes in a Ziploc bag. And it is normal. So I was like, okay, she's right. And then what else happened? Oh, Erica says Merce in the purse and does like a little rhyme about Merce's ashes. And then, yeah, the dinner's over. And the really sophisticated, educated guests, per Sutton, leave. But not before Trevor comes up to her and says, you've really developed into a lady and come into your own and I'm proud of you. So Kyle goes in the room and sees Sutton crying, and then she says this. I realize that the reason I'm having all this trouble with Merce is because there's been 3 very important men in my life. My first husband, Christian Merce, who was like a mentor and a close friend, and my father. And they're all gone and leaving me, and I have to let them go now. And I realize that this is like a rite of passage to let them go, and this Ash release is really about that for me. And so I'm crying because I'm kind of mourning the loss of this chapter. I'm going to have to say goodbye, and I need to go back to being the independent woman I was in my early 20s when I was empowered before I gave all my power to all these other people in a way. And it's actually a really touching scene with a very cool message for young women. So I hope that it resonated with you guys. I really loved it. I did. I loved it. It was actually smarter than we usually have on the show, so I appreciated it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Got a show first thing in the morning, so I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you come. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Haven't said that in a while. I've given up on that. I've accepted that we're all 26,000 whatever group that we are. If that's all we're going to be, then I'm thrilled because I love you guys. I don't need any more. I mean, maybe a few more, but you get the drift. All right. We only make $10 on the ads anyway.